Okay, so today is Sunday, September 15th, and as you can tell, I'm in a bit of a different location than where I usually am. I'm actually in our basement because I'm trying to sell all of our old Legos. I thought this would be the perfect time to just film something and just ramble. So that is what I am doing today, so I'm not necessarily going to be looking at the camera as much, and you might have some Lego ASMR. And it's also not the best looking background. This might be where the next couple of videos are filmed. Okay, so just to introduce what I'm going to be talking about today, the first thing that I wanted to say is something that I experienced like first thing in the morning. I was reading Proverbs 15, because today is September 15th. The action point that I wanted to hit on for today from that proverb was to just be humbly patient and kind, basically. As soon as I thought of that, I was getting annoyed at my sister for no reason, like it was all completely my fault. I lost my patience and was just getting mad at her for no reason. Yeah, it's something we experience all the time, just like when you learn a new word and then all of a sudden you see that word everywhere, that when you make something conscious to your own mind, all of a sudden you see it everywhere and all of a sudden it starts happening to you. As soon as we take in information, kind of subconsciously, and somehow we automatically start to apply that information. So earlier I was watching a video. It was actually a very good video and very insightful, and it's basically saying that the whole idea with self-improvement and productivity is that you're just trying to solve a problem, whether that's a problem of time management or whether that's a problem a personal problem. You're always just trying to solve a problem. And he was saying how if you just learn how to solve problems, then you don't need all of these tips, but you need to find your own solution for your own problem. Just think logically. And this is something that I try to do. I try to be a logical person and to not always have to Google things and to not always have to look for external solutions, but to just try to figure out the solution myself. Why do I have this problem? What is the problem? How do we get rid of the problem? Just thinking logically through that has always been something that I've tried to do. From that video, and also from another video where he was basically talking about we should take inspiration from other channels just when you're getting started so that you can find your own style and find out how you want to actually create your own unique videos. But basically I made the connection between these two videos that basically taking in other information, and that is all for the use of improving your own life and just using that to make your own inferences and solving your own problems. Everyone's just taking information to use in future situations. I take notes on things very often, and I'm always thinking just in case I have a need for this, I'm going to take notes on this, which is kind of unnecessary, but that's another way that I'm thinking of. That's I'm taking in this information, putting it in a safe place where I know I can look at, so that in the future when I need to take action on that information, I can pull that information and use it on something. All the information we take in is to be used for a future purpose, and it's never stagnant. It never stays in one spot. Information is always being circulated around between people. It's kind of like energy. Yeah, energy is always being transferred. It's never added to or destroyed. So kind of like energy, data and information is always being transferred, and it's never really added to or destroyed because most information is relatively similar. But this is also an idea that I have thought about for a while, how really all information is free, and all these paid courses and stuff, they've learned that stuff because they did something, and they didn't necessarily do that thing because they paid to do that thing. All of this information in all these paid courses and books and stuff, you could probably figure out by yourself if you did the things that that person did, and if you went through these same experiences and learned the same things. I feel like I'm a very resourceful person. I try not to say that I need anything, because a lot of the times I can make something else work. So when I see all these paid courses, I'm I'm never going to need that, because I can always just figure out that information by myself. All of our solutions are already in here. And the outsourced ideas are all just ideas. And they're all just lighting up a light bulb that, oh my goodness, lighting up the light bulb in our brain that already has that information. So we just need to make sure we're lighting up the right light bulbs. I hope you guys get this analogy. I just thought of this analogy and it makes so much sense. Information is like light bulbs in our brain. If you think about a bunch of light bulbs in your brain, and we all have the same light bulbs. We all have the same information that we can get from different experiences. Information is everywhere. And if information is all these little light bulbs in our brain, and we have all the information already, we just need to make those conclusions. This goes back to being logical. If we just be logical and go through certain experiences, we can light up the light bulbs in our brain that say the same information as like other sources. But if we just watch that source, then that just lights up the light bulb for ourselves. But we don't get the same experience from it, and we just get it from a different way. We light up our light bulbs in a different way. Information is everywhere, and we just need to grab the right bits and pieces, make the right conclusions, light up the right light bulbs in our brain to be able to do the things that we want to do with that information. Because I've made these connections, it's made me think about the creation cycle, and that goes, you consume something, you curate, and then you create something from that. And I feel like that directly correlates with this cycle of information, where you take information in, you use it for something else, and you transfer it to another person, and it's like the cycle. Because you consume it, that's in both of the cycles. I curate, so this aligns with taking action on that thing. So curating something is like kind of like filtering and deciding which information is best for you to create with. And that is parallel with the action point when I was talking about my creation or information cycle, where we take in this information and we're always using it for some other reason. And then in this stage, we can also curate, like, what is the best information? I mean, best information is kind of subjective, like define best information, maybe like the most applicable or the most helpful when you do apply it, maybe the most simple. So curating is kind of finding what's the best information according to a certain standard. So according to applicability or simplicity or something like that. And then the last one is to create or share it with someone else. This is when you are transferring this information, this data or energy. This is where the energy is being released, because energy is always being transferred, information is always being transferred. So this is the point where that is getting transferred to for another person to consume. So how can we apply this though? Why is it good to know about the information cycle? Using this information about information, it's kind of like metacognition. Metacognition is when you're thinking about what you're thinking. It's kind of just like learning about how thinking works and just thinking about your thoughts. It's like thoughts within thoughts. So information within information. Why is this information? How can we apply, when I talk about like every piece of information is applied for something else, how can we apply this information about the information cycle? The first thing I'm going to say is boring. But if you think about like the water cycle in life and how it like condensates and then evaporates and then precipitates and like all that kind of thing, we don't really do much with that information. We understand it and we can kind of just accept it for what it is. So that's the first thing I'm going to say about applying this information. This is kind of one of those things where it's kind of just something, it's helpful to know. Like, it's helpful to know how the water cycle works. But because I want these videos to be very applicable, right? I'm trying to give you guys knowledge that is applicable, how I'm applying it to my life, and how you guys can apply it to yours. I do want this information to be applicable. So this is what I've made while I've been talking. I've been gathering the pieces, and I'm making it. I'm missing one piece, and I think it's because he cut it. It's just not long enough. So I don't really know what to do about that. How can we apply this knowledge of the information cycle? The first thing that I think of when I think of how I'm applying this knowledge of the information cycle is going to help me be to manage the information more. A while ago, I was really, really into like the note-taking space and like all the different note-taking apps, which is a hole that you can fall into. And this is a very good baseline for you to fall onto when you're like trying to figure out note-taking apps or whatever and trying to find a system for that. Actually, my first video on this channel was about building a second brain, which is like a technique to doing that. But if you just understand this basic information cycle, then that helps you with your note-taking system and with your personal knowledge management, your PKM. So if you understand, like, I'm always consuming content, so you need a place to put that consumed content. You need something like a notebook or your notes app or something like that. That is your safe place for the information that you're going to apply. That's the second part. Apply your knowledge. I have tried, as I have been writing things down in my notebook and putting them in my notes app, I try to add an action point as much as possible to each note because, first of all, oh my goodness, it all comes full circle. When I was talking about at the beginning of this video about how when we are like thinking of something and like we have that knowledge, it's all of a sudden appearing everywhere. So if we put that action point in our notes and we're constantly thinking about it, then we will apply it. So that's the second part in the cycle, which you have to consume something and you have to apply that information. We're always using information for something, so figure out a way to apply that information, whether that is more macro or more micro. Can you apply this just in a more general rule, like for your life? Or can you think of a very, very specific problem in your life, in your school, in your hobbies, where you can apply this specifically? And then maybe just use that information for that application purpose only. Additionally, along with the application process, you have to find a way to curate and figure out the best pieces of information because you can only have so many thousands of notes and you're not going to be able to get to every single one of those. So you have to have a system for curating the knowledge that is most applicable and that is most helpful for you. So create a system for yourself, for your own personal knowledge management, that when you receive a note, not only put an action point, but also kind of like rate it on whatever rating you find most helpful. So maybe how applicable it is, how easy it is to apply, what the benefits of the application are, maybe just how simple it is. Like rate your piece of knowledge and determine whether it is one of the best pieces of knowledge that you've ever received or just a meh piece of knowledge that you have received before. So you need to find a way to curate your knowledge and prioritize applying those ones, because those ones will move the needle more in your life, but the less helpful ones and the ones that you have rated lower should be put on a lower priority. And then the last step in this information cycle is creating. So this is when you're transferring this information off to another person, right? Information is always being transferred. So find a way to either just tell it to your sibling or to your friend in the morning, or maybe share it on a platform like how I'm doing it. There are so many different ways to transfer information, and just find one and just transfer that information off to be helpful for someone else. The way I'm doing it, this is how I have been posting my videos every single day, what I learned today, because I've been posting like how I applied what I learned. That's the first step. The second step, how I applied it to my life. And the third step, how you guys can apply it to your life. So I'm going through that information cycle already through this. And this is just my medium of sharing this information with you. Find a medium that you can share information through and just do that. Whether that's physically talking to someone quickly for 5 minutes or sharing it on the internet, find that medium for yourself. So yeah, that is what I have to talk about today. Right now, I'm posting every single day what I learned today, how I'm applying it to my life, and how you guys can apply it to yours, just like I said. So if you want to see videos every single day of that, videos just like this one, then definitely subscribe, because that is what I'm doing on this channel. I'm just trying to be as helpful, and I just want to just spit facts. I don't want my videos to be like totally algorithm optimized. I want my knowledge to speak for itself and to actually be good videos and good information, and I want the people to watch my videos to not only be the people who need this kind of thing, but to also not care about all of the retention hacks. If you found this video helpful, then definitely give it a like. Yeah, I'm posting every single day. For the next week or so, I'm going to be down here. If you want to see videos just like this one, I'm posting every single day, daily insights. If you want to see tomorrow's video, then I will see you then. Subscribe. We got this. Bye.